My mother-in-law tried to hijack my Christmas, replace every tradition I'd built with my family, and turn me into a guest in my own home. What she didn't expect was that I'd been documenting everything, and when I finally had enough, I didn't just stand up to her. I made sure she could never do it to anyone again. My name is Cecilia. I'm 31 years old, and I've been married to my husband Owen for 6 years. We have 2 kids, Isabella, who's 4, and Mason, who just turned 2. I love Christmas. I really love it. The decorations, the music, the traditions, the magic of watching my kids' faces light up on Christmas morning. It's my favorite time of year, and I'd spent years carefully crafting our family traditions to make it special. Owen's mother, Lorraine, had always been what I'd call assertive. She had opinions about everything, from how I dressed, to how I decorated my house, to what I fed my children. But Owen was an only child, and she was a widow, so I tried to be understanding. I tried to include her. I tried to make her feel like part of our family. That was my first mistake. It started last year, the November after Mason was born. I was still in that exhausted new mom fog, trying to juggle a toddler and an infant while also planning for Christmas. Lorraine had been visiting more frequently, which I'd actually appreciated at first. She'd help with the kids, bring over casseroles, that sort of thing. But then she started making comments. "You're going to put the tree up so early?" she asked when I mentioned decorating the weekend after Thanksgiving. "That's tacky, Cecilia. Sophisticated people wait until at least December 10th. I laughed it off. "We like to enjoy it as long as possible. Isabella gets so excited." "Well, when I host Christmas this year, we'll do it properly." I stopped what I was doing. "Host Christmas? We're hosting here, like we always do." Lorraine smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Oh, honey, you have your hands full with the baby. I think it would be easier on everyone if we did it at my house. More space, more room for everyone to spread out." Everyone meant Owen's extended family, his aunts, uncles, and cousins, most of whom I barely knew. We'd been hosting our own intimate Christmas since we got married. Just us, the kids, and Lorraine. It was perfect. Small. Manageable. Ours. "I appreciate the offer," I said carefully, "but we're good here. I've already started planning everything." She patted my hand in that condescending way she had. "We'll talk about it later, dear. You'll see reason once you think about it." I should have shut it down right there. I should have been firm, but I was tired and I didn't want to start a fight, so I let it go. That was my second mistake. Over the next few weeks, Lorraine started dropping by more often. She'd bring things, decorations that she insisted would look better than that childish stuff I had. She brought a new tree skirt because mine was absolutely threadbare, "Cecilia. I can't believe you've been using that." She brought fancy Christmas dishes because plastic plates are fine for every day, but Christmas requires elegance. Every time I'd politely decline or accept just to avoid conflict, then put the items away in a closet. Owen noticed but didn't say anything. He had this way of checking out when his mother got overbearing, just disappearing into his phone or finding an excuse to leave the room. It drove me crazy, but we'd had that fight before and I was too exhausted to have it again. Then came the incident with the stockings. I'd made stockings for our family. I'm not a great seamstress, but I'd hand-stitch them, embroider everyone's names, added little details that made them special and uniquely ours. They were hanging on our mantle, right where they belonged. I came home from grocery shopping one afternoon in early December to find Lorraine in my house. She had a key for emergencies, which apparently now included letting herself in whenever she felt like it. She was taking down my stockings. "What are you doing?" I asked, setting down the grocery bags more forcefully than I had intended.
"Oh, Cecilia, I didn't hear you come in." She held up my stockings like they were contaminated. I brought proper stockings. These homemade ones are sweet, really, but they don't match my decor vision for the house. "Your decor vision? For my house?" "Well, for Christmas. I've been planning how everything should look, and these just don't fit." "Don't worry, I bought beautiful velvet ones. Red and gold, very classic. They'll look stunning in photos." Something snapped in me. Maybe it was the lack of sleep. Maybe it was months of her boundary pushing finally reaching a breaking point. "Put them back." "Excuse me?" "Put my stockings back on the mantle, right now." Lorraine's smile faltered. "Cecilia, there's no need to be dramatic. I'm just trying to help." "I didn't ask for help. This is my house. Those are my stockings that I made for my family. Put them back." We stared at each other for a long moment. Finally, she hung the stockings back up, but her movements were stiff, angry. "I was only trying to make things nice," she said coldly. "But if you want to be ungrateful, fine." She left without another word, and I stood there shaking. When Owen got home, I told him what happened. I expected support. I expected him to be on my side. Instead, he sighed. She was probably just excited about Christmas. You know how she gets. She let herself into our house and tried to take down decorations I made. She has a key for emergencies. This wasn't an emergency, Owen. She's trying to take over our Christmas. You're overreacting. She's lonely. It's her first Christmas since Dad died, and she just wants to be involved. Owen's dad had died 3 years ago. This wasn't a grief thing anymore. This was a control thing. But I could see I wasn't going to get through to him, so I dropped it. That was my third mistake. The next week, Lorraine called me. Her tone was sugary sweet, which immediately put me on guard. "Cecilia, darling, I've been thinking about our little disagreement and I want to make things right. Why don't you and the kids come over tomorrow? I have some things I want to show you for Christmas." I should have said no, but I was trying to keep the peace, trying to be the bigger person, trying to make this work. So I agreed. When I arrived at Lorraine's house with Isabella and Mason, she was practically vibrating with excitement. She led us to her dining room, where she'd set up what looked like a Christmas planning war room. There were binders, multiple binders, color-coded tabs, printed Pinterest pages, swatches of fabric, sample menus. "What is all this?" I asked. "Our Christmas plan," she announced. "I've been working on it for weeks. Now, I know you're busy with the little ones, so I've taken the liberty of planning everything. All you have to do is show up." She opened the first binder. "This is the decor plan. I've selected a color scheme, red, gold, and white, very elegant. I've already ordered everything we'll need. It'll be delivered to your house next week. Lorraine, and here," she flipped to another section, "is the menu. None of that heavy, pedestrian food you usually make. I'm thinking a prime rib roast, truffle mashed potatoes, roasted Brussels sprouts with pancetta, and a chocolate torte for dessert. Very sophisticated. We always have ham. Isabella loves ham. Isabella is 4. She'll eat what we serve her. Children need to learn refinement." She kept going, flipping through pages. She'd planned the entire day, from wake-up time to bedtime. She'd selected what the kids should wear. She'd even designed a schedule for opening presents with specific time slots and an order that prioritized her gifts. And, of course, we'll need professional photos. I've booked a photographer for the morning. I'll text you the dress code requirements. I stared at her, completely speechless. This wasn't helping. This wasn't even hosting. This was a complete takeover of my family's Christmas. She'd planned every single detail without asking me, without considering what we wanted, without caring about our traditions.
I can't believe you did all this," I finally said. She beamed. "I know, it's going to be perfect. Oh, and one more thing." She pulled out a final binder. "I've also planned our Christmases for the next 5 years. I thought it would be good to establish consistent traditions, so I've created a rotating schedule of themes. Next year is Winter Wonderland, then Victorian Christmas, then—" "Stop," I said. "Just stop." Her smile froze. "What? This is insane, Lorraine. You can't just plan my family's Christmas without even asking me. I did this for you, to take the pressure off. I don't want the pressure off. I like planning Christmas. It's my favorite thing. And you didn't just plan, you steamrolled over everything we do, everything we love, every tradition we've built. Your traditions are juvenile," she snapped, her mask slipping. "Plastic ornaments and cartoon character decorations and letting the children run wild. You're raising them without any sense of elegance or class. I'm trying to teach them better.
"Get out," I said quietly. "What?" "We're leaving, and you're not invited to Christmas this year, or any year, until you can respect that this is my family, my house, and my holiday." I gathered up Isabella and Mason and left. Isabella was crying because she didn't understand why we were leaving so suddenly. Mason was fussing, and I was shaking with anger. When Owen got home that night, I showed him pictures I'd taken of Lorraine's binders. I told him everything, and this time I didn't let him dismiss it. "Your mother tried to plan the next 5 years of our Christmases. She called our traditions juvenile. She said I'm raising our kids without class. This isn't about her being lonely or excited. This is about her trying to control every aspect of our lives." Owen looked at the pictures for a long time. He admitted, "This is a lot. And I need you to support me. I uninvited her from Christmas, and I need you to back me up. Cecilia, she's my mom. I can't just cut her out." "I'm not asking you to cut her out. I'm asking you to set boundaries. Either you do it, or I will. But I'm not spending Christmas being told that everything I do is wrong." We fought that night. Really fought. Owen said I was being too sensitive. I said he was letting his mother walk all over us. We went to bed angry, not speaking. The next morning, I found Owen at the kitchen table, looking at his phone. He said, "My mom's been texting me all night. She says I'm keeping her grandchildren from her. She says I'm trying to turn me against her. Of course she is. She wants to come over and talk. No. Owen, no. Every time I try to set a boundary, she bulldozes through it. Every time I say no, she finds a way around it. I'm done talking. I'm done negotiating. I'm done trying to make this work when she has no intention of respecting me." That's when I made a decision. I started documenting everything. Every text from Lorraine, every voicemail, every time she showed up uninvited. I created a detailed timeline of every boundary violation, every dismissive comment, every controlling behavior. I wasn't sure what I'd do with it yet, but I knew I needed a record. Christmas came. We spent it just the four of us, in our house, with our traditions. We had him. We wore pajamas all day. We let the kids open presents whenever they wanted. We watched Christmas movies and ate cookies for breakfast. It was perfect. Lorraine called 17 times that day. She left voicemails ranging from sad to angry to manipulative. "I'm all alone on Christmas because of you. Owen, how can you do this to your mother? Those children need their grandmother. You're being incredibly selfish." Owen listened to each one, and I watched his face change. He was finally seeing what I'd been dealing with. But Lorraine wasn't done. Not even close. In January, she started a campaign. She called Owen's extended family, telling them that I'd banned her from seeing her grandchildren. She posted vague messages on Facebook about ungrateful daughters-in-law and being shut out by family. She sent Owen articles about the importance of grandparents in children's development. She even called my mother, trying to get her to intervene.
My mom called me, confused. "Lorraine says you won't let her see Isabella and Mason?" "That's not true," I explained. "She tried to completely take over our Christmas, and when I set boundaries, she couldn't handle it." "Well, you know how mothers-in-law can be." "Mom, she planned our Christmases for the next 5 years without asking me. She let herself into my house and tried to remove my decorations. She called the way I'm raising my kids juvenile." There was a pause. "Oh, that's different." "Yeah. What are you going to do?" "I don't know yet, but I'm not backing down." In February, Lorraine escalated. She filed for grandparents' rights. In our state, grandparents can petition for visitation under certain circumstances, and Lorraine was claiming that I was denying her a relationship with her grandchildren without cause. I was furious. Owen was shocked. "She's suing us," he kept saying. "My own mother is taking us to court?" "Now do you believe me about how far she'll go?" I asked. We hired a lawyer, a good one, and I handed over my documentation. Every text, every voicemail, every boundary violation. My lawyer, a sharp woman named Claudia Reeves, looked through everything and smiled. "This is good," she said. Really good. She's created a pattern of controlling behavior and harassment. Judge Nakamura, who'll probably hear this case, doesn't tolerate grandparents who weaponize the legal system. The case took 4 months. During that time, Lorraine ramped up her campaign even more. She started showing up at Isabella's preschool, trying to pick her up without permission. The school called me, concerned, and I had to add her to a list of people explicitly not allowed to take my children. She drove by our house repeatedly, sometimes sitting in her car outside for hours. Our neighbors noticed and asked if everything was okay. She sent gifts to the house, expensive gifts, with cards that said things like, "From Grandma who loves you and misses you so much." She'd write to the kids about all the fun things they do together when Mommy stops being mean. Owen finally snapped. He called her one evening, and I could hear him from the other room. "You need to stop, Mom. You're making everything worse. You're the one who tried to control Christmas. You're the one who wouldn't respect Cecilia's boundaries. And now you're suing us? Your own son?" I couldn't hear her response, but Owen's face got redder. "No, Mom, she's not keeping your grandchildren from you. You did this, you. If you just listened, if you just respected that it's our family and our decisions, none of this would have happened." He hung up. Then he looked at me with tears in his eyes. "I'm sorry," he said. "I'm so sorry I didn't listen to you sooner. I'm sorry I let her treat you like this. I'm sorry I made excuses for her." I hugged him, and we stood there in the kitchen for a long time. "We're going to fix this," I promised. The court date arrived in June. We walked into that courtroom with our lawyer, our documentation, and our testimony. Lorraine showed up dressed like she was going to a funeral, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue, playing the grieving grandmother to perfection. Her lawyer painted me as vindictive and unreasonable. They talked about how Lorraine was just a lonely widow trying to maintain a relationship with her only grandchildren. They showed photos of her at past Christmases with the kids, smiling and happy. They made me sound like a monster. Then it was our turn. Claudia presented our evidence methodically. The text messages where Lorraine insulted my parenting, the voicemails where she called me names, the documentation of her letting herself into our house repeatedly after being asked not to, the binder she'd created planning 5 years of Christmases, the testimony from the preschool about her unauthorized pickup attempts, the photos our neighbors had taken of her sitting outside our house for hours. This isn't a case of a grandmother being unreasonably denied access, Claudia argued. This is a case of a woman who refuses to accept boundaries, who attempts to control every aspect of her son's family's life, and who has escalated to harassment when she didn't get her way.
Owen testified. He talked about how he'd initially dismissed my concerns, how he'd made excuses for his mother's behavior. But then he described watching the escalation, watching her refuse to respect any boundary we set, watching her weaponize his love for her to manipulate him. "My mother taught me that family means everything," he said. "But she's forgotten that I have my own family now. My wife and my kids, they're my family too. And they deserve to be protected from anyone who would try to control them, even if that person is my mother." I testified last. I explained how I'd tried to include Lorraine, how I'd tried to compromise, how I'd tried to make things work. I explained each boundary violation, each escalation, each time I'd said no and been ignored. "I don't want to keep my children from their grandmother," I said. "I want them to have a relationship with her, but not like this. Not with someone who teaches them that boundaries don't matter, that control is love, that no is just a word to be bulldozed through. I want them to know their grandmother, but I also want them to grow up understanding that they deserve respect." Judge Nakamura listened to everything. She asked questions, she reviewed the evidence, and then she made her ruling. Grandparents' rights exist to protect children from being arbitrarily denied relationships with their grandparents, she said. However, they are not a tool for grandparents to circumvent parental authority or to continue patterns of controlling behavior. She looked directly at Lorraine. "Mrs. Henderson, the evidence shows a clear pattern of boundary violations and escalating harassment. Your daughter-in-law set reasonable boundaries around her family's holiday traditions, and rather than respecting those boundaries, you attempted to override them entirely. When you were told you could not attend Christmas due to your behavior, rather than self-reflecting, you launched a campaign of manipulation and harassment. Your Honor, I just wanted to help, Lorraine protested. Help that is not asked for and not wanted is not help, Mrs. Henderson. It's control. Your petition for grandparents' rights is denied. Furthermore, I'm ordering that you maintain a distance of at least 100 yards from the family's home and that you not contact them directly for a period of 6 months. After that period, if you wish to rebuild a relationship with your grandchildren, it will be on the parents' terms and at their discretion. Lorraine's face went white. You can't do this. They're my grandchildren. I can, and I have. This court is adjourned. We won. We actually won. Lorraine tried to appeal, but her lawyer advised her it was pointless. The evidence was too clear. The judge's ruling too sound. For 6 months, we had peace. No texts, no calls, no drive-bys. It was strange at first, like waiting for the other shoe to drop. But gradually, we relaxed. We got our lives back. Isabella stopped asking when Grandma was coming over. Mason was too young to remember much. And Owen and I worked on our marriage, on being a team, on making sure we were united in all our decisions. When the 6 months were up, Lorraine reached out. Not to me, but to Owen. Her message was short. I'd like to talk. Just talk. I understand if you're not ready. Owen showed it to me. What do you think? I think it's your mom, and you should do what feels right to you, but if you do meet with her, I want to know what's said, and any relationship she has with our family going forward has to be on our terms. Owen met his mother at a coffee shop. He was gone for 2 hours. When he came back, he looked emotionally exhausted. She apologized, really apologized. She said she'd been in therapy, that she'd been working on understanding why she needed so much control. She said losing Dad made her feel like she was losing everything, and she tried to hold on too tight.
Do you believe her? I think she believes it. Whether she's actually changed, I don't know, but she wants to try. She wants to see the kids, on our terms, supervised, whatever we're comfortable with. We talked about it for days. Finally, we decided to try, but with strict boundaries. Lorraine could visit once a month, at our house, for 2 hours. No gifts without prior approval, no criticizing our parenting, no trying to change our plans or traditions. 1 strike, and she was out. The first visit was awkward. Lorraine was subdued, almost meek. She played with the kids, read them stories, didn't comment on the toys scattered everywhere or the kids' mismatched outfits. When her 2 hours were up, she thanked us and left without trying to extend her stay. The second visit was similar, and the third. Slowly, very slowly, she was proving she could respect boundaries. She was proving she could be a grandmother without trying to be in control. It's been a year since the court case. Lorraine now visits twice a month. She babysits occasionally, but only when we ask. She still has opinions about everything, but she's learned to keep most of them to herself. She's still not perfect. She still occasionally makes comments that toe the line, but when we call her on it, she apologizes and corrects herself. Last month, she asked if she could come over to help with Christmas decorating. I tensed immediately, but Owen squeezed my hand. "What did you have in mind?" he asked her. "Well, I saw these beautiful ornaments that Isabella might like, but I wanted to check with Cecilia first before buying them, and I thought maybe I could help put up lights outside if you need an extra pair of hands." I looked at Owen, then back at Lorraine. "The ornaments sound nice, and we could use help with the lights." She smiled, a genuine smile this time. "Thank you. I promise whatever you want to do, however you want to celebrate, I'll follow your lead. It's your family's Christmas." "It is," I agreed, "but you're part of our family too. As long as you remember that supporting us doesn't mean controlling us." "I'm learning that," she said quietly. "I really am." This Christmas is coming up soon. It'll be our first holiday with Lorraine, since the one that started everything. I'm cautiously optimistic. We have our boundaries clearly established, we have our traditions firmly in place, and we have each other's backs. Lorraine asked if she could contribute a side dish to Christmas dinner. Not plan the meal, not change the menu, just bring one dish. I said yes. She asked what the kids' night like for gifts. Actually asked, instead of just buying whatever she wanted. I gave her some ideas. She offered to come over early on Christmas Eve to help set up, but made it clear she'd only stay if we wanted her to. We said she could stay for a couple hours. These might seem like small things, but they're huge. They're proof that change is possible. They're proof that sometimes standing your ground and refusing to back down is exactly what needs to happen. Here's what I learned from all of this. Setting boundaries isn't mean. Protecting your family isn't selfish. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is say no and mean it. You can't control how other people react to your boundaries, but you can control whether you enforce them. And I also learned that documenting everything matters. If I hadn't kept those records, if I hadn't taken those photos, if I hadn't created that timeline, the court case could have gone very differently. When you're dealing with someone who refuses to respect boundaries, evidence is everything. And I learned that it's okay to ask your partner to choose you. Owen had spent years trying to keep the peace, trying to make both his mother and I happy, trying to avoid conflict. But eventually, he had to make a choice. His mother or his wife, his childhood family or the family he'd created. It wasn't easy for him, and I know he still struggles with guilt sometimes, but he chose us, and that made all the difference.
My mother-in-law tried to change all my Christmas traditions, but in the end, she changed herself instead. She learned that love doesn't mean control. She learned that being a grandmother doesn't give her the right to override her son's family's decisions. She learned that boundaries aren't rejections. They're frameworks for healthy relationships. And I learned that I'm stronger than I thought. I stood up to someone who intimidated me. I protected my family. I fought a legal battle and won. I enforced my boundaries even when it was hard, even when people called me unreasonable, even when I doubted myself. This Christmas, we'll have our traditions. We'll have our tacky decorations and our cartoon character ornaments. We'll wear pajamas and eat ham and let the kids open presents whenever they want. And Lorraine will be there, not trying to change anything, just participating in what we've built, being part of it, not in control of it. That's what I wanted all along, not to exclude her, but to include her on our terms, to have a relationship where she's a welcomed guest, not a dominating force, where she enhances our holiday instead of hijacking it. It took a court order to get here. It took months of therapy for her and boundaries enforcement from us. It took Owen finally seeing what I'd been dealing with and choosing to stand with me. But we got here. And next Christmas and the Christmas after that and all the Christmases to come, we'll do it our way, with our traditions, in our house, with our rules. And anyone who wants to be part of it will be welcome, as long as they remember one simple truth. This is our family, our holiday, and our choice. My mother-in-law tried to change all my Christmas traditions, and instead, I changed everything about how we handle family boundaries. And I'd do it all again in a heartbeat. Because protecting what you've built, protecting the magic you've created for your children, protecting your right to make decisions for your own family, that's worth fighting for every single time.